The observation deck of the Zetherian warship hummed with the collective breath of 100 species. They had come from across the galaxy to witness what the collective deemed the final test, the moment humanity would either prove their worth or be eradicated from the cosmic stage. Christopher stood in the Challenger's circle, his railgun humming with lethal energy. Across from him, Victoria waited with the kind of stillness that made predators uneasy. She wore no armor, no protective field, just the simple gray jumpsuit of a human explorer. Her dark hair was tied back, and her brown eyes held something that Christopher had seen in the eyes of Earth's ancient warriors: absolute certainty. The Zetherian adjudicator raised 3 of his 4 arms. "The challenge is simple," he announced. His voice translated into 1,000 languages simultaneously. The human-designated Victoria must survive 3 attacks from the human-designated Christopher. Weapons are calibrated to lethal force. Failure means extinction for your species. Christopher's jaw tightened. He hadn't asked for this. None of them had. But when the collective discovered Earth, a death world teeming with billions of apex predators who called themselves human, they had panicked. Species didn't evolve on planets where everything tried to kill them. Species didn't thrive in ecosystems that demanded constant adaptation or death. And yet, humans did. The collective's solution was elegant in its cruelty: prove that humans could be killed or be deemed too dangerous to exist. Victoria had volunteered immediately. Christopher had resisted until he understood the alternative, watching his entire species burn from orbit while he did nothing. "Begin," the adjudicator commanded. Christopher raised the railgun. The weapon was collective technology, designed to punch through starship hulls. Against unarmored flesh, it would reduce Victoria to a red mist. His finger trembled on the trigger. "Do it," Victoria said softly, her voice somehow cutting through the silence. "Trust me, Chris." He fired. The Railbolt screamed across the 20 meters between them, a projectile moving at 3% the speed of light. Every species in the observation deck flinched, anticipating the carnage. Several closed their optical organs. Victoria tilted her head slightly, a movement so subtle it seemed almost lazy. Her right hand blurred. There was a sound like a thunderclap, and suddenly she was holding the Railbolt, its kinetic energy somehow arrested. Steam rose from her palm where friction had kissed her skin. The deck erupted in chaos. "Impossible," the translators screamed in a dozen languages. No biological organism could process information fast enough, move precisely enough, withstand the heat and force. Victoria walked forward, her steps measured and calm. She crossed half the distance to Christopher and extended her hand, offering him the Railbolt like a returned pen. "I believe this is yours," she said. Christopher's hands shook as he accepted it, the metal still hot enough to sting even through his gloves. "How?" he whispered. She smiled, but there was no humor in it. "We're from Earth, remember? Our entire evolutionary history is one long story of prey that became predators, predators that became prey, and survivors who became both." She turned to address the observation deck. "You want to know what makes humans dangerous? We'll show you." The adjudicator's skin had paled to a sickly gray. The test continues. 2 more attempts remain." Christopher reloaded. This time he aimed for her head, a smaller target, harder to predict. He fired without warning. Victoria ducked under the shot with microseconds to spare, the Railbolt passing through the space her skull had occupied. But she didn't stop moving. She lunged forward, closing the distance between them in 3 powerful strides. Her hand shot out, and for a terrifying moment, Christopher thought she would strike him. Instead, she caught the Railbolt on its return trajectory, ricocheted off the reinforced wall behind her, and held it up for the crowd to see. "Spatial awareness," she announced. Humans evolved to track dozens of threats simultaneously. Flying predators, ground hunters, environmental hazards. We had to know where everything was all the time, or we died. She tossed the bolt aside, where it embedded itself in the deck plating. Next. The crowd was silent now. Even the translator devices seemed stunned. Christopher's final shot was desperate, random. He fired at an angle, hoping the unpredictability would be enough. The railbolt sparked off 2 walls, building an erratic trajectory no computer could easily calculate. Victoria closed her eyes. The observation deck held its collective breath. She moved like water, her body flowing through positions that seemed to anticipate every bounce, every angle. Her hand intercepted the bolt on its 5th ricochet, and she crushed it, actually crushed it, reducing the projectile to twisted metal in her grip. "Pattern recognition," she said, opening her eyes. The crushed bolt fell to the deck with a clatter that echoed like a death knell. "Humans see patterns in chaos. We find order in randomness. We predict the unpredictable because our world demanded it." She walked to Christopher and placed a hand on his shoulder. The gesture was gentle, but he could feel the strength behind it, strength that had caught death 3 times and made it look easy. "We didn't come to your collective to conquer," Victoria said, her voice carrying to every corner of the deck. "We came to explore, to learn, to share. But make no mistake, we survived Earth. We thrived on a planet that tried to kill us every single day for millions of years. We turned our disadvantages into advantages. We made weapons from our weaknesses. We became the thing that nightmares fear." The adjudicator collapsed into his seat. "The test is concluded. Humanity has passed." As the crowd dispersed in shocked silence, Christopher turned to Victoria. "You could have told me you could do that." She grinned, finally allowing herself a moment of humanity. "Where's the fun in that? Besides, they needed to see it. Really see it. Not just what one human can do, but what we represent." "And what's that?" "Hope," Victoria said. "We're proof that you don't have to be born strong to become strong, that you don't have to be fearless to be brave, that intelligence, adaptability, and sheer stubborn refusal to quit can overcome anything." She looked out at the stars beyond the observation windows. "We're from Earth. We're humanity, and we don't give up." Christopher followed her gaze, seeing the galaxy with new eyes, not as a jury waiting to judge them, but as a frontier waiting to be explored, by humans who caught bullets and handed them back, calmly.